we can move on to the opening conversations. And it is now my pleasure to welcome Professor Arthur Mol, who is Rector Magnificus, Vice President, Executive Board at Wageningen University and Research here in the Netherlands. So he is trained in environmental sciences and environmental social sciences for his PhD. Besides being chair and professor at Wageningen University, he was also professor of environmental policy at Renmin University, China, and Tsinghua University in that same country, and also at the National University of Malaysia, UKM. His main fields of interest and publications are in environmental studies, globalization, social theory and the environment, informational governance, ecological modernization, sustainable food production, and consumption and urban environmental governance. So as I said earlier, he is Rector Magnificus and Vice President of Wageningen University and Research and President of the Association of European Life Science Universities. So Professor Arthur was not actually able to join us live, but he recorded his presentation, thereby allowing us to have a feel of this beautiful campus, which we would have been here had it not been for the pandemic. So let's hear his thoughts. Welcome, Professor.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure to welcome you at this Cultivating Equality conference and to officially open it also. My name is Arthur Mol. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Wageningen University and Research, a major institution in the area of agriculture, food production and the living environment. Today we are gathered here in a major conference. More than 600 people participate in this conference through more than 60 sessions where all kinds of papers and research works are being presented and more importantly being discussed. And they all focus around gender, inclusivity, social aspects and consequences of agriculture and food production. And that is an important topic. It's a topic which of course has been studied for quite some time, but still insufficiently. Do we have the right theoretical framework? Do we have the right methodological approaches? Can we advance knowledge in these dimensions? But also substantially, what are now exactly the gender dimensions in agriculture and food production? How can we study them in a good way? What kind of policy advices can we give to policymakers or to companies on the gender dimensions of agriculture and food production? That are the kind of questions which are standing central here at this conference. And it's great that we can organize that from Wageningen, but of course we do not organize it alone. This conference is part of a much bigger European project on gender smart. And all these other universities which collaborate in that project are also present here and produce and present their work. It's also great that in this conference we work together with the CGIAR Gender Platform. And with that also we really lift that to a global level. So I'm very much look forward to the coming days and also look forward to the outcomes of this conference. What does it give us and how can we proceed these kind of discussions, debate, research and also of course education on the gender dimensions of agriculture and food. I wish you a very great conference and look forward to see you hopefully next time really face to face at our campus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Arthur. I'm sure we have enjoyed the warm welcome and his welcome remarks. So now we will move on to hear our next presenter. And this is closer home to me. As I mentioned, I am with the CGIAR. So it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Claudia Sadoff, who is CGIAR Executive Management Team Convener and Managing Director for Research, Delivery and Impact. Dr. Sadoff was previously the Director General of the International Water Management Institute, and she spent over 20 years at the World Bank in positions including lead economist and global lead for water security and water resources management. She has been appointed Distinguished Visiting Scholar at Oxford University member of the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council on Water Security, and she is a Fulbright scholar. She holds a PhD in economics. Currently, she serves as a member of the scientific group of the 2021 United Nations Food Systems Summit. I can see Dr. Sadoff all set off and on stage looking great. Please tell us about the positioning of gender in the 1CG. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Vivian, and it is such a tremendous pleasure to be with everyone today and to see such a great turnout for such an important topic. Let me start by recognizing the enormously productive partnership between CGIAR and Wageningen University that has allowed this event to take place. This is a partnership really built to last. It's the kind of relationship that I believe will be key to delivering world-class research, driving real systemic change, and ultimately to the transformation of food, land, and water systems in a climate crisis, which is CGIAR's new mission. The United Nations Food Systems Summit, which closed just a few weeks ago, acknowledged that inclusivity is critical in the race to transform our food systems. The Secretary General also underlined that one of the many tragic impacts of the COVID pandemic has been that it has deepened inequalities. The World Economic Forum's most recent gender gap report concludes that with the trajectory we are on today, it will take roughly 135 years to achieve gender equality. This is an outcome that we cannot accept. And in truth, it's not the only setback that we have seen in the past 5 years, with an unexpected undermining of our shared equality goals at the political level in some countries. And that will take some time and real effort to undo. But focusing more specifically, stark gender equalities remain both a cause and an outcome of our unsustainable food systems, inequitable access to food consumption and production. As well as being a lever of change at the UN Food Systems Summit, gender is therefore central to the new 1CGIAR mission. And I'm truly proud of the legacy of work that my CGIAR colleagues, in partnerships such as this one, have generated over the years. CGIAR has probably the largest cohort of researchers in the world dedicated to gender and agriculture, but ours is a very shared vision of inclusivity. And partnerships are critical if we are to achieve real progress. Together, we've produced a wealth of research and insight on gender, and that has led to gender-based interventions that can respond to complex systems challenges, and innovations such as gender transformative approaches developed by CGIAR scientists and our partners are now gaining traction as a means to truly confront the root causes of inequality. Bridging the gender productivity gap in agriculture could also bring us much closer to zero hunger. But that is not to say that we want to increase the burden on women. Our aim is to empower women, for example, through leadership training, access to technologies, changing the norms and reducing institutional barriers, and gender responsive agricultural and food system policies. These were some of the issues that were identified by the gender lever of change within the UN Food Systems Summit process. But they're also very much in line with the systemic barriers that the CGIAR research and innovation strategy identifies as holding back women from engaging in and benefiting from agricultural development, from impeding progress towards zero hunger. Recognizing that gender equality can drive transformation towards sustainability, productivity, and climate resilient food systems, and vice versa, one of the 5 impact areas in the new CGIAR research and innovation strategy is gender equality, youth, and inclusion. That impact area sets a very ambitious goal to close gender gaps in the rights to economic resources, access to ownership, and control over land and natural resources for over 500 million women who work in food, land, and water systems. I welcome the CGIAR Gender Platform's role as champion of this key impact area, a critical pathway to achieving the gender equality goal of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, or the SDG 5. The Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, at the time a progressive blueprint for advancing women's rights, was agreed at the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women in 1995. 47,000 people participated in that conference. And since then, gender has increasingly been mainstreamed into development thinking and practice. Having now passed the 25th anniversary of that landmark conference, and as the System Management Board Gender Champion since 2018, I am truly proud of the way that gender is centrally integrated into the work of CGIAR. That said, I'm also very cognizant of the fact that much more needs to be done. We are not on track to meet SDG 5, and there are gaps in our research. Continued investment is one key. Understanding local communities and actors, both men and women, and the embedded nature of gender relations is at the core of what we do. But I'd like to close with a quote from Melinda Gates, who has done so much to champion the needs to address systemic gender inequalities. She said, "The beauty of our fight for gender equality is that every human being will gain from it. We must seize the moment to build a better, more equal future." I know and I trust that you, my colleagues and partners, will seize this opportunity and build on the excellent momentum from today's event that has already been achieved and continue to build a better and more inclusive future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia, and indeed, excellent opening remarks. And just to encourage our audience, she made very solid points that we should share widely and engage maybe via the Meeting Hub or also the social media channels. So please go head over there and keep tweeting, Cultivating Equality 21. Thank you, Claudia, very much. And now, Claudia also mentioned the CGIAR Gender Platform being very central towards moving forward the agenda of gender research. And now we would like to hear Dr. Nicoline de Haan, who is Director for the Gender Platform. Dr. de Haan is a senior researcher with more than 15 years of expertise in gender, rural livelihoods, agriculture, and natural resource management. She is presently, as I have just mentioned, the director of the Gender Platform. Previously, she served as the gender team of the International Livestock Research Institute. And before ILRI, she led work on gender, poverty, and institutions, again within the CGIAR program on water, land, and ecosystems, WLE, where she examined the implications of inequity in access and control over natural resources and finding options to ensure inclusive benefit sharing. In her previous position at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, she led the global socioeconomic team on animal health, where her main responsibility was reducing the impact of animal diseases on the livelihoods of smallholders, and especially women impacted by avian influenza. She holds a PhD in rural sociology from University of Missouri, Columbia, USM. Welcome, Nicoline.
Thank you very much. And I thank you, Professor Mol, but also Claudia, for opening the conference. And I want to make a special mention that, to thank Claudia for being here, as I know that she's very busy at the moment, and it shows her commitment and the CGIAR's commitment to gender. It's very much appreciated. It's a great pleasure to see this conference happening. This is the fourth conference of the CGIAR Gender Researchers. We started with a very small group about 5 years ago and have now grown to something like 900 registrations and 60 sessions. We've also moved from last year's or 2019's conference being called Seeds of Change to actually now starting to cultivate. So I can only see this moving forward to the next one being about harvesting. This is in many ways the highlight of our year. It's the chance to showcase the research being done on gender and agriculture in the CG and on food systems and climate change. It is also very timely, as there are a lot of opportunities at the moment on gender, and with the UNFSS, as was pointed out by Claudia, but also the COP26, both of which can use a dose of gender research and research on gender equality. So I would say this is our moment. Besides it being a highlight, it's also very important to us as the CGIAR Gender Platform. It helped us with reaching our vision where gender equality is driving transformative changes in food systems. We have identified 3 streams of work by which we aim to achieve this. The first one is filling in evidence gaps. And we see a lot in this conference, from sessions on gender norms and normative change to agricultural modernization. We desperately need to fill these gaps at a global level to be able to move the agenda forward and not to continue talking about women being overburdened, but be more nuanced in this and thereby moving the dial on this. The second stream is supporting good research through developing and validating the right methods. And again, we have covered this in this conference with sessions on gender transformative approaches and with sessions on women's empowerment indexes, for instance. There are many more. Then the last one, which is also very important to me, is building alliances. We cannot do this alone. It's only through alliances we can do this. And we aim to do research that remains relevant to everybody. And so seeing the wide varieties of partners on this conference, and especially being able to partner with Wageningen University, my alma mater, is a great outcome of this meeting. It would have been great if we could have done this in person, and hopefully we can in the future invite you to Nairobi, Kenya, and host you here as well. As I welcome you to this conference, I would like to ask you to keep 3 C's in mind. And these are the ones that are the center for me of this conference. First one, curiosity. As good researchers, we're always curious about things, and we need to maintain that. So I hope that the conference piques your curiosity as you hear the presentations, and hope you can help identify research directions and priorities to the next decade. Collaboration, the other C. As you can see, the sessions are built upon collaboration. There are a lot of different partners here, which was one of the original ideas behind the conference. But it was also the idea to give the gender researchers a comfort zone where we can, as gender researchers, talk amongst ourselves and move the agenda forward in a very collaborative way. But the other part is that we also want to move people out of their comfort zone through these collaborations. And we hope that we are able to push people out of their comfort zones so that we can actually see change happening as too. I hope that we got the balance right on that. Then the last C, and I think this is a very important one, is commitment. I think I would like to really thank all the gender researchers who are presenting here today and over the next few days for their commitment and their willingness to share their research results and their research. I really appreciate your work, and without you, we wouldn't be here. I would also like to express the commitment from the gender platform side to support, amplify, and build upon your research as best as we can to ensure that we can have an impact on gender inequalities across the world. Now, I also would like to thank the CGIAR and the CGIAR Trust Fund for their support, and especially several governments and partners. The Dutch government, who is very supportive of the platform, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Canadian government, USAID, ACAR, and the British government, amongst others. We appreciate them for showing their commitment to gender issues. Last but not least, I would like to thank the commitment of the team that pulled this together. Margreet van der Burg, Marlene, Elias, Vivian, Marianne, and the whole support team. Thanks for your commitment. Without you, we couldn't have done it. Welcome again, and looking forward to all the exciting sessions that we have planned for you over the next few days.
Thank you very much, Nicoline. Wonderful thoughts indeed. And I just want to take us back to what you said as you were beginning your talk about how we started with the seeds of change, then we moved on to cultivate, and then we moved on to harvest. Indeed, just adding my own thoughts that you cannot harvest where you haven't planted. So indeed, it's good that we are cultivating. Thank you very much, Nicoline.